Hello, welcome to this Workshop Wednesday Fireside Chat. My name is Aaron Malkin. I am the Literary Director and Dramaturg at the workshop, and we are so grateful that we are in community with you all this afternoon. We wanted to begin by acknowledging the traumatic events right now that are continuously highlighting anti-Blackness and the violence inherent against Black people. We recognize the news impacts everybody differently and encourage folks in our community to be gentle with one another, practice self-care and healing as you move through the world. We're so pleased today to have our 2050 Directing Fellow Kimille Howard with us to moderate a conversation with longtime NYTW usual suspect, Ruben Santiago-Hudson. The conversation will last around an hour. For the first 40 to 50 minutes, Kimille will interview Ruben, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. If you have a technical or logistical question about the platform, please share via the Q&A tab on Zoom or the comments on Facebook. And when we get to the Q&A portion, feel free to share your questions for Ruben and Kimille via the same channels. The questions that are asked on Facebook will get over to us on Zoom. And if you see a question that you respond to, you can upvote or like, and so we will try to get to the questions where there is the most energy around. I'm excited now to introduce Kimille and Ruben. Kimille Howard is a New York-based director, writer, and filmmaker. She is currently an NYTW 2050 Directing Fellow, a Jonathan Alper Directing Fellow at Manhattan Theater Club, and a resident director at the Flea Theater. She's also an assistant stage director at the Metropolitan Opera, where she recently worked on the new James Robinson production of Porgy and Bess. Kimille also recently directed A Light Staggering by Ji-Sun Choi, also an NYTW 2050 Fellow at Ensemble Studio Theater, and Tidwell, or The Plantation Play by Rodney Witherspoon II and the Samuel French Off-Broadway Short Play Festival. Kimille was the assistant director to Des McAnuff on Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations on Broadway, and she is the co-founder of Black Classical Music Archive. Ruben Santiago-Hudson directed Tony Award-winning Broadway revival of August Wilson's Jitney, which garnered several awards, including the Drama Desk Award, Outer Critics Circle Award, Drama League, and the Drama Critics Circle Awards, along with 6 Tony nominations. Ruben won a Tony Award as a featured actor for his performance in August Wilson's 7 Guitars, and later went on to direct the play himself to critical acclaim. Other directing credits for Ruben include The Piano Lesson, Skeleton Crew, Othello, Gem of the Ocean, Paradise Blue, My Children, My Africa, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Cabin in the Sky, The Happiest Song Plays Last, Two Trains Runnin', Things of Dry Hours, The First Breeze of Summer, and Your Blues Ain't Sweet Like Mine, among many others. His autobiographical play, Lackawanna Blues, won several awards, including 2 Obie Awards and a Helen Hayes Award, and went on to be an HBO movie receiving the NAACP Image Award, Humanitas Prize, the Christopher Award, and Emmy and Golden Globe nominations. It is now my privilege to introduce Kimille and Ruben. Thank you both so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. Hi, Ruben. It's so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you to everyone out there viewing us from home. I would love to start off by checking in with you, Ruben. How are you doing? We haven't seen each other since December. Like, how are you doing in light of everything that's been going on?
That's hard. I mean, that's the big question. That's the, P. Sam says in Dominique Morisseau's Paradise Blue. Ain't that the MF question of the day? Yeah, everybody asks me that. I'm hurting. I'm hurting, and I have a choice. I have a choice to just sit and sulk and rant and rave, or take advantage of a platform that you guys have given me, and if I can reach and touch any individual and hopefully affect them in a positive way, I think that I've done my work for the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And especially at a time like this, seeing a Black director lifting up Black voices is such an important time for that. So I'm excited to really delve into to start off by delving into your background. So with my first question, so you have had a prolific career as an actor, director, writer, and even musician for the stage and screen. How did theater find you, or how did you find theater, and what was the journey that brought you to directing?
Well, first of all, I found theater at a very young age. Second grade, I think, was my first play. And I think I've done a play every year since then, my entire life, at least one. Some years I've done 7 plays. Once I started, I was a kid from a very poor background. I lived in a rooming house. I was raised in a rooming house. I was adopted, but not legally adopted by a woman. If you know the movie Lackawanna Blues, a woman in the community who thought she could give me a better life than my mother. And this woman, her home was a rooming house. So I lived in a rooming house. That's where I came up. When the people that she inhabited that rooming house with were people who were the people that the world had thrown away. People from mental hospitals, prisons, jails, hobos, people, drifters, people who would come up for the season to work. So those are the people that I was raised around and who given me so much confidence as a human being and responsibility of that they needed me to do well because I would be representative of them and all of their hopes and dreams. People wear that T-shirt on my ancestors' wildest dreams. I was their wildest dreams. And so they brainwashed me to think that I could be anything I want to be. And I said, well, let me spend my life doing something I love. And so I never left the theater because I love it. Mm. And directing, I got into directing. I just, after doing, plays for 30 years, I was a director early on and then I stopped directing because, I just got tired of that particular fight, and then I didn't think I was where I needed to be as a director. And acting was paying me well, and I was taking care of my family, my wife, my kids. So I just acted, and then finally I just got tired of working with directors who I felt didn't give the actors what they deserved as far as in respect and guidance and leadership. And not everyone, but many of them. And I said, wow, that actor deserves more patience, more guidance, to somebody to listen more, somebody give them clearer notes. And so I kind of set my sights on directing. And August Wilson one day was asking me to help him fix something that was going on in the play that I was in. And he said, I should tell the director. I said, no, but when I direct it, I'm going to do it. He said, when you're going to direct it? I said, when I'm on the list. And August said, well, you're on the top of the list. And 3 months later, I was directing Gem of the Ocean.
Wow. Is that the one you did? Or where did you do that production?
That was at the McCarter Theater. Right. It was my first big play that I directed after coming out of retirement for 20 years. And then Jim Houghton immediately snatched and said, come on to the Signature. Let me get you into New York directing. And God rest Jim. And then I got into New York and directed 7 guitars. And the rest is like, a long, long story that we don't want to
tell. Well, speaking of, in reference to what you were saying in terms of your experience with directors as an actor, what do you think are the essential ingredients that make a great director? And do you think there are any distinct elements that directors of color especially require?
Well, first of all, a director has to have vision, some kind of vision and clarity. A really great director is a good collaborator. A really great director is a great audience member and a damn good listener. And a very good leader, somebody who will take care of their cast. There's a lot of things. So all you young directors out there, you're writing down a lot of things, I hope. You got to listen, you got to be a good audience member, a great collaborator, a visionary. And more than anything, you have to be able to earn the respect from that company through the way you nurture and take care of them to the point where they will trust that the decision you make for the community is the best decision for the community. And the only way you can make that decision is being informed by the community. Mm-hmm. And that community is your room. I mean, not the audience. It's your room. Your designers, your actors, your associates, your assistants.
Do you feel like there's a difference for directors of color in terms of that journey and that experience? And
No, the only difference is we got to fight harder, and whether anybody wants to admit it or not, because they don't choose me to do Oklahoma. They don't choose me to do Fiddler on the Roof. They don't choose me to do Miss Saigon. They wait for the black play that they're going to direct and they need a director for, and they call Rube. But Rube loves Chekhov and Ibsen and Shaw, and Rube really is, is pretty decent at Beckett, and I love Shakespeare. But when the black play comes, it's called Rube. So that's what the difference between black director, and then, I'm sure that certain women directors will say, well, they do the same thing to women directors, but, I don't necessarily know if that's true. I know everybody has their own, stereotypes and corners and battles to fight. But I know as a black director, you tell me, other than George Wolfe, what black directors directing plays that aren't written by blacks.
Right. And even more than that, like something that I've had in discussion with among peers, but I don't hear talked about much in open forums, is that, and I think it's a really relevant topic, especially during this time of protests and against racial inequality and injustice. I would love to know what your thoughts are about the imbalance of work of color being helmed by white directors versus directors of color, who are often only, as you say, considered to direct productions of color. I just think we are seeing a bit of a trend of the slowly shifting, but I would love to hear your perspective on that.
What can you say? I mean, it's imbalance. There's no balance. We're not on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
They're not putting me, they're not calling me, you know, I mean, listen, if I pushed it, I can probably go to any regional theater and direct Shaw and Chekhov and Ibsen and Tennessee Williams, but for the most part, and I don't need to be in people's room that don't really want me in the room, to be quite honest with you. I want to be in the room that people want me in. So we're not on the scale, so there's no balance. There's, you know, it's like, I would have gave my right arm to direct Joe Turner on Broadway. That never came to me. I wasn't even in the equation. I was cut out of the conversation from the beginning. And I don't know if anyone loves August Wilson more than me, but I love him a lot. And I know people love him as much. No one loves him more. And I think no one has spent more time and had a relationship as long and as storied and I think wonderful. And, you know, I mean, and August had a lot of friends. This is not exclusive, but as far as directing August Wilson, am I in the conversation? You know, no, Joe Turner conversation didn't come my way, but a white director directed Joe Turner, a white director who I respect and appreciate very much. But if I jumped in there and said, I'm going to do My Fair Lady, would they push him out of the way? No, but they pushed my ass out of the way for him to direct Joe Turner. So you know, we're having a conversation, and it's a time to speak truth to power, and it's a time to be honest. And that's an honest, you know, and anybody want to doubt that, just look it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with that, in the discussion of the work that has been produced about the Black experience, I have also noticed that there tends to be a trend for institutions and producers almost exclusively elevating work of color that focuses on the pain and trauma of the POC, or the Black experience, whether it be a musical or a play. And those stories are totally valid and definitely worth elevating, but we're in short supply of Black joy, you know, narratives where we're coming of age, or, you know, having inheritance squabbles, or on a road trip, or anything, or a rom-com. I mean, I think when I look back, the first and maybe only play that comes to mind where is Denai Guerrero's Familiar, where I went into the theater and I wasn't reminded every other scene of like, oh, how hard it is to be a Black person in America. Not that, you know, it definitely is important to have those stories, but I don't get to have any escapism, you know, in the work that gets produced, you know. So I'm wondering, what do you think needs to happen for there to be more of a balance in that, and more of a change?
I don't know. I mean, writers write what they write, and producers and boards choose what they want to do. And so a lot of what we write is about our pain and about our journey. But if you look at a lot of those plays that do have pain and journey, there's victories in them too. And so I just want to do the work that contains human life, which is Black life, and nothing in anybody else's culture that's not in my culture. Everything contained in human life is in Black life. And so, you know, people like drama and people like comedy, and they don't like it being in the middle. So, you know, if you want to do Black comedy, do Black comedy. You want to do Black drama, you know, there is a lot of pain in our journey. There's a lot of pain in a lot of people's journeys, and you see that in their plays as well. But so I don't mind the drama, but what I do mind is one-dimensional. And that's why when we stick to one thing, it bothers me. So show all of Black life, show the Black comedy, and show the Black drama, show the Black musical, and some of the Black musicals can have all that in it. You know, what's important to me is that if I'm going to get on stage and you're going to take your time and spend your day with me, your hours with me, put your day around coming to see this play that Ruben's directing, I want to make sure that you were entertained at the highest level of integrity, but more than that I have enlightened you in some small way of the humanity of African American existence.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with you. But I realize we steered a bit away from the conversation about directing, and I want to bring it back quickly because I'm really curious about what you would describe as your signature approach to directing. Like, is there anything that you try to uphold in your rehearsal process?
First of all, the celebration and integrity, grace. You know, I require everybody in the room to have grace and generosity. I require that, but I don't require it without reciprocating. I have grace and respect and generosity. I expect it from everyone. My signature, the wonderful Michael Potts said the other day in the talkback I was doing, he said, I never let them off the hook. I never let them not go to the top of that mountain to meet August every day. I remind you of your responsibilities, and I know that it's going to be a dangerous trip. It's going to be a tedious journey, and I make sure that I give you all the protection in the world that I can give you to make that tedious journey, to get to that mountaintop every day. And whatever the actors need, I take care of them. If it's in my power, they get it. I give everybody one-on-one conversation. I give everybody their space to be creative and to work. I'm not a tyrant. I make no unilateral decisions. I make informed decisions. And what I do is I bring the smartest, most wonderful people in the room I can, most talented people in the room I can, but most gracious and wonderful human beings that I know are going to form this community, and I'll allow them to bring me their best. And then what I do is refine. You've been in the room with me. I bring it in the room, and then I refine. Because it has to tell the story that the writer has written and the writer really wants to tell. And then they come to Ruben to add his gumption, his flavor, his energy, his passion to it, and lead this troupe of actors, build this community, and be the mayor and be the governor. But I got to have an ear for that. I got to, I cannot serve my community if I'm not listening to my community. So I think the thing I'm known for most when I hear actors, when people ask, what does Ruben bring? I take care of my actors. I take care of my designers. I take care of my room. And I am the leader in that room, but an informed leader. An informed leader. I hope people understand what that means. That means my ears open, everybody in that room. The costume designer has an idea of something that she feels a certain way about a transition I made that has nothing to do with clothes. She come to my ear, and I invite them. What, do you think that was long? Or blah, 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 blah. Was that too loud, the music? Blah, blah. And I'm going to hear it. I don't have to agree with it, but I do give you court. I do let you hold court with me.
And yeah, definitely every room I've been in with you, it's felt there's so much warmth and a familial energy that it just everybody's so comfortable, and you do create a wonderful room. And speaking of the designers that you were talking about, so I'm curious actually what your process is for conceptualizing design for production, and how do you collaborate with them to help actualize your vision?
Well, these designers I choose, most of them I work with, I have shorthand with them, and I'm always constantly trying to bring somebody new in to build the village, make it even bigger and stronger. I like to make sure I have diversity on there. So I'm not going to have an all-white team. I'm not going to have an all-black team. It's going to be diverse. It's got to be I collaborate very well with women. Better, I hate to say it, but better than men a lot of times. So you'll notice that all my associates, all my assistants have been women. Many of my designers are women. Jane Cox has been with me for, I think, 6 or 7 plays. Tony Leslie James has been with me. And we can go on and on and on. Karen Perry. And then I have some men too. I'm not going to exclude them. So, but what I do is once I bring them in, because at a certain level, everybody can do the job. Once I bring them in, then I'll allow them to do their work. I get out of their way and they start showing me stuff. I'm a touchy-feely look, I'm visceral, I got to be able to see, feel. You got to bring me designs. I got to be able to look at the models. I got to be able to look at the colors. I got to feel stuff. And they know that about me. And they know I'm very prompt and I'm very early. So, we have the 8 o'clock meetings, the 6:30 phone calls in the morning. I bring Mike Carnahan in, who's a great set designer. Rachel Hawk. It's like, I love to look around my room and it looks like America. It looks like not that strange America, but New York City, America, the 72nd Street subway station. That New York, and then I feel comfortable. I feel protected. I have I have a Woye, I have a Gabriel Vega Weissman, I have a nice United Nations around me, and that gives me a wide scope and realm of the possibilities of what I'll receive.
I love that. Yes, that's beautiful. What would you say is your philosophy is when you are working with actors has it been informed by how you, I think you touched on this a bit, but like how your experience as an actor has informed the way you work with actors?
Yeah, what I did not like to receive, I don't give to them. And what I did think was effective from the great directors, I've worked with some great directors, and I've worked with some, those great directors, I learned from both of them. I learned from the great directors, and I learned from the ones that I kept looking and saying, "What? How did he get this job? How did she get this job?" You know, I learned from them though. Don't do that, Ruben. Don't do that. Don't talk to an actor that way. Don't, you know, be more effective in your communication and in the notes that you're giving. So you learn from every experience is a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
This career is building a mountain, and each experience is taking that stone and throwing it on that pile. And eventually you look up 20, 30 years from now, you say, damn, I got a little mountain. So you'd be remiss if you took that rock and threw it over here and didn't put it on that pile. So I'm going to take the good, as August would say, the crooked with the straight, and I'm going to put it on the pile. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot to draw from, the good and the bad. So that's the way I look at it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. You also occasionally wear multiple hats on a project, such as with Lackawanna Blues, where you wrote, performed, and directed. What is that process like, and how do you balance all of those roles at once?
Looking like a madman, you know. So I would bring these designers who I trust tremendously. Jen Schreiber did the last one with Mike Carnahan on set, and Karen Perry, and they would sit in the audience. They'd be my audience, and Gabriel Vega Wiseman was with me as my, you know, on that one as my eyes, and my assistant and associate on that one. What I would do would get out on stage, and I would do it, and Gabriel would watch me intently. Then he would go down, and my designers would design. I can't see what they're doing because I'm performing. Then he would go down and walk my paces, and I'd talk to him on the mic. Now sit down, now slower. Move the chair 3 feet. Okay, now easy. Don't sit down yet. And then I would look at the lights and say, Jen, that's a little too hot there. Take some of that orange out of there. What's that? Just a streak of that. Move that. Pull that out. Bring that down. What is that on a 7? Bring that down. Bring it down. Let me see a 5. Let me see a 6. I would direct it. And people would be like, is he directing this baby? And then once I see it, and I said, Gabriel, run it again. Then come, now you look. Then I would go down and do it. And I come and say, Gabriel, what you see? He said, I think you took it down a little too much on the 5. Okay, bring that back up a little bit. And you know, it's a collaboration. It's no way I could do that without all those people. Everybody in that room directed that play. It's just directed by Ruben Santiago-Hudson. Everybody in that room directed that play. And it's trust. Mm-hmm. Surround yourself with people you trust, mm-hmm. and allow them to do their work.
Yeah. How did acting notes or like writing at, like, I mean, I know this existed for quite a while, but like even going back to when you first wrote it and performed it, like how did like the editing process go when you were the lead on it?
I would say a line, and sometime I would say and make a mistake in a line, and it sounded better than what I had written. And Gabriel would just write that down. You know, you said this today. I said, and I would read it out to myself and read it to him and people around. And I'd say, I think it should be this, right? And they'd be like, nah, that was better. I like the flow of it. And everybody, you're right. It's never, I continue to say the same thing about collaboration. But eventually, no matter what they say, I end up making the decision that I think is the best for the event. Mm-hmm. And how can I make that with just, listen, you got all these, put it this way. You got all these smart people in the room. And they're all there because they love theater. People don't do theater. If you don't love theater and you're listening, go do something else. There's so many things you could do. Med school still accepting applications, law school. If you just want to be a garbage man, a school teacher, super in the building, do something else. You got to be in theater because you love it, because it's too much sacrifice. It's too much pain. It's too much rejection. You got to only do this because you love it. Everybody in that room with me loves it. They left kids, they left husbands, they left wives, they left partners. They're not getting near the pay they should get to make a living wage. They're there because they love it. They made the sacrifice. Why don't I invite them into these really brilliant, I shouldn't say brilliant as people toss it around, but these really exciting, extraordinary human beings who are artists, who are poets. And whatever, if you're a poet in lights? Are you a poet in sound? Let the poet speak. Listen to the poetry. Allow it. Maybe it's a little too loud. Maybe it's a little too, and that's where you're the director. You know what I'm saying? But you directors who think you go in and tell people what to do, please go away. That ain't what a director does.
Put that on a shirt, please.
You make decisions, but you don't tell people what to do. And I've had directors to tell me what to do. And when I was younger, I'd be like, nah, that don't make no sense. Now I'm older, I'm like, I do this. They say, what's wrong, Ruben? I'm like, I don't know. Oh, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't. But when I was younger, I didn't have time for that. I didn't have the patience. Now I'm old and impatient, you know, but I don't really have to go through that much anymore now, because when somebody says, we want you to do this play, I say, who's directing? And then I sit in the room with the director and say, I don't know if you want to work with me, because I'm not that easy. No, yeah, we do want to work with you. Yeah, but I'm real smart, and I'll sit up all night. I might call you at 7 o'clock in the morning and have a question or email you. It's okay, it's okay. It's, you know, and I don't let my understudy on the stage even when their mothers come to visit. It's okay, it's okay. You know, so I say, okay.
Oh God, that's hilarious. A question I love to ask artists, although it can be a bit challenging, is could you tell me about a moment in your directing career when you made a huge mistake or failure, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, you know, the reason I quit directing is because I made a huge mistake. You know, as a director, I was directing a musical, and the actor who was doing the role was afraid to go to his heart and show me something real. And I needed something real in the scene. He could dance and he could sing, but he didn't want to comply with sharing his soul with an audience, bearing his heart. And so I kept trying to get him there, and I gave him every note I could. And he finally just stopped and said, well, you do it. You do it then. Show me what you mean, because you keep saying the same thing over and I don't know what it is. Tell me what you want. I said, I don't tell actors what to do. I'm trying to guide you on the path. And he said, well, he walked off the stage and sat down. He said, show me. And after a little bit of a stalemate, I said, okay. And I got on stage and I showed him. And he walked out of the theater, and I haven't seen him since. And I went home and I said to myself, I shouldn't be a director if I couldn't have found something useful to give that young man to help him to where I wanted. Because I could do it doesn't mean he can do it. And me being an actor in the prime of my career and in my mid-20s, I was fire. So me jumping on stage doing that role, it just like he looked up and was like, I can't do that. And I went for it. I sang the song, I did the moves, I did the scene, and I cried, and I hit the notes, and he walked out. And that was it. And so I quit directing. I quit for over 20 years. I said, if I want to be a director, I got to find a better way to be effective with my actors than to get up there and show off. And I didn't plan to show off. That's not what I meant to show off. But I knew the capacity I had as an actor was probably a little deeper than what he had at the time. And so it was not right for me to do what I did. So I left it alone until August said, you're on the top of the list, which was 20 something years later. That was 1980. That was 1982.
Wow.
82. And I didn't direct until, 90 something. So it was 25 years later.
Wow. So what happened with that after the act? What happened with that production?
I went on. I had an understudy, and I went on and opened up the show, and then I turned it over to my understudy because then I had another job to go do the Fantastics at a regional theater. So I left.
What, like, were you nervous or about when you decided to do Gem of the Ocean? How did you get yourself up to get back into directing?
I was bursting. I've always been the director in the room in my head. I never stopped directing in my head. I just didn't think I was worthy to be a director unless I had matured enough to be able to communicate with my actors better. And so at that age, I was ready. I was more than ready. and it was time for me. And you know, you people respond to the times, just like these people in the street are responding to the times. You know, and I responded to the time and to the need. The need. We need to straighten out what America's done to us, and that we're not going to take it no more. I need it. It's a hell of a different thing, but actors and playwrights needed me. They needed me, and I responded to the need, and I needed them. I needed that. So it's need, it's reciprocal. It's both ways. It don't go one way. I responded to that need, and you know, that's it.
If you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self, what would that be?
I don't know. I really don't know. So much advice my younger self needed. If there was one thing I regret that I didn't do, is record my mother more. Because now I just tell her stories. That's a different thing that you ask me, but I regret that I didn't do that. That would be advice. Ruben, put this, record it. Record her. Because when a person in a thing only lives as long as the last person that remembered it. And when I'm gone, who's going to remember the stories my mother told me? They're in Lackawanna Blues. The events and things, some of them, this much, just a little much is in Lackawanna Blues. It's a whole lot more, you know. So when I'm gone, that's why I talked to my son, who's a pastor, Ruben Santiago, who's an amazing young man, amazing pastor down in Mableton, Georgia. If you're ever in Mableton, Atlanta area, Mosaic Church, I'll tell the world, you know, he's just a great young leader and a thinker. And he cares so much. But we have these conversations where we talk, and I try to give him, you know, things that I've learned and things, and he writes them down. Because I say, I depend on you to carry this, man. You take this legacy, you take this knowledge. And same with if you're in the room, Kimille, I'll call you over and I'll say something to you. And most of the time I have you working, I have you running here, running there. And sometimes I just, you know, I lean over to you and I say, I'm doing this for this reason. This is going to happen for this. And and did you see how that person just spoke to me? But I'm not going to handle that with anger. Watch how I handle it. And you've seen me do that.
Yeah.
Show you how I'm going to handle something, you know, because I want you to know the things that I know. I can't take them with me. The things Lloyd Richards taught me, the great Lloyd Richards, the thing that Douglas Turner Ward, the great Douglas Turner Ward taught me, the great George C. Wolfe, these are great directors. And you notice they were all Black. So yeah. I ain't saying all Black directors are the great directors, but those three, because I looked at them and I saw me in their reflection. I saw me, I said, that's what I am. I'm a director, but I'm a Black man. And people notice first when I walk in the room, not that I'm the director, but that I'm a Black man. Before you know me, when I walk in the room and we're going to bring in our board and we're going to sit here and watch your rehearsal, they don't want to, who's the director, unless they see my picture and know me. You know what I'm saying? First thing, I wonder who that Black man that walked in. You know, he looked like he picked up some weight last I saw him. You know, but you know, it's. I look at those great directors and I learn from them. But my style is the style that I incorporated and brought in from my life experience and the lessons they gave me. Not one of them, you know, just like I learned Belasco and Stanislavski and all that. Not one of them is the reason, the one reason and the one way I direct. It's some knowledge and it's something there and all of that.
And it's so true what you say when you walk into a room about even if it's a Black production, like depending on the group, it can be shocking when you learn that the director is Black, just because it's still is not as commonplace as it should be. It's getting better, but we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, not us personally, those in the gatekeepers, you know.
Sometimes I'll get a shocking call. It kind of shocks me a little bit. Like I got a call from a producer recently that I really, really respect. And she said, I want to send you a play. And you wouldn't think this would be my play. You really wouldn't think this would be my play. And I said, I don't know if it's my play. She said, read it and you tell me if it's your play. And I read it. I said, this is my play. And it's something that you wouldn't even, well, you might, but I think I don't know if people would consider. And I'll leave it at that right now until we eventually announce it when we come out of this craziness. But it's my play, you know, and the fact that she had that vision, and when she said it to the writer, I'm taking this to Ruben Santiago-Hudson. And the writer was like, Yeah. Yeah, she said, you can actually call him? And she said, yeah, well, I know him. But she said, he got to respond to it. And I responded to it wholeheartedly. So you got to remember that directing is a job you don't audition for. People choose you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ain't no audition tape for a director. Ain't no, oh, my name is Ruben Santiago-Hudson, I like to read the role. No, somebody chose you. Somebody sat in a meeting and said, let's call Kimille, let's call Ruben. And in the similar meetings, more meetings than that, people are saying, they're not saying your name. They're not asking for you. They're not. Because most of the time in that meeting ain't nobody black.
Right.
So they're waiting for that black play to come in. Oh, I got Ruben, and I got Kenny, and I got George, and I have Kimille, and okay, which one of them four? We'll see who the writer wants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most of the meeting, they ain't thinking about you. But they start thinking about you hard when that black play come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the travesty. Hire me for my skill, not my color.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we need? What do you think? How do we get that to change?
Boards. Let's get to the bottom line. They can put me on stage all day long. They can give me a play to direct all day long. They can hire female and artistic directors of color all day long. That board can veto any of that. That board, and not by saying, no, I'm not going to do it, by saying, yeah, but what if, or what about? That means no these days. What about if I say I want Kimille Howard to be my music director on this? Somebody say, oh, well, Kimille's great, but what about? That means no. Now, if you don't understand the language, let me explain it to you. That means no, unless you're ready to put something on the line and fight. That's what they're saying. Are you drawing the line? Do we fight over this now? Is that important to you? What about is the option? They want you to take an option. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the only way is boards. All these theaters in this country, if they look at their boards, and I know it's a business, you need money. People got to bring money. Boards bring money and influence. Mm-hmm. But are you looking at people of color with influence? Listen, imagine a theater without us. What if we all decided, well, y'all don't want us there, we ain't coming? What if day of absence happened and we didn't do any theater? Not anywhere. Black theaters, white theaters, no theaters. Nothing black happened for a year. No black actor in a white play showed up. No black woman in Hunchback. No black woman in any play, Frozen or any. We just weren't there. Is your world better? No, your theater ain't even better. Nothing's better. That's why we need to be at the table. We need to be included, and we have never been willing to make that sacrifice. To just say, they like to do a blackout on Facebook, blackout on, we're not going to buy Nikes today. But what if we decided, what if the greatest of us decided we're not going to move unless y'all move? Mm-hmm. Now, this was revolutionary. And some of these people listening going to say, did he say that? We've never got to that point. That's some dangerous stuff. That means I got to go plaster a wall or paint. I got to take another job. I got to go teach or tutor or figure out how to drive an 18-wheeler. You dig? But that's revolutionary. And all of a sudden, there's no Audra McDonald, and there's no Stokes Mitchell, and there's no Norm Lewis, and there's no Adrian Warren, and there's no Ruben Santiago-Hudson, and there's no George Wolfe. There's no Dominique Morris. How does your theater look? Mm-hmm. Meet us. Anyway, I don't want to get too, I know people had nice questions to ask, what I eat today and stuff like that.
Before we get to that, just one more question, because I think it ties to what you've been saying, but I'm wondering what you hope to see change in the industry and for directors when we come out of this pandemic and when whatever happens after this, like as the resolution of these protests. What do you hope to see?
Made me start crying. You listen, everybody's putting out a statement now, and I appreciate it. People are putting stage statements out from every theater, and actors are putting statement outs about what we ain't gonna go for. Ain't nothing gonna change easy. So if we're not willing to make a big sacrifice, and I don't know what that's gonna be. I just threw something out that's huge that'll change the whole world. And I know everybody, no, man, I mean, because listen, the biggest problem, the regional theaters and off-Broadway, that's where we actually have breath. Broadway, we ain't got no breath. And if we slap the bully, everybody around will say, okay, slap the bully, he we better change. And Broadway is run by a very small group of very white people. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to change because we say, well, we're not going for this when we walk into the next room. They're not going to change unless we change. Mm-hmm. You know, the where you at the New York Theater Workshop, you know, the Signature and the off-Broadway houses, they do have, you know, they do take that chance, even though they need finance too. But who says Black people don't finance? Who says we don't pack that audience? Jitney was over 30% of color. Broadway naturally has under 5% audience of color. But we're talking about 5% of 10, 11 billion a year. We're talking about $500+ million if we take that whole 5% to a Black national theater on Broadway. We're talking about a $500 million. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me to go. This what Cornel West said I was a dangerous man. He said, you're the most dangerous man in the theater because you're a businessman as well as, and the only power we have is economic power. They can feel for you and their hearts bleed for you for 20 minutes when they see something happen, 20 weeks, 10 days. But when you get in people's pocket and you start talking about taking away hundreds of millions of dollars, they listen. They listen. See, I'm at the point now where I'm close to retirement, and it looked like they're gonna force me into retirement. But that's cool. I can say what I want now, you know. And some of my wife said, "Well, you've been saying what you want the whole time," you know. But you know, we're tired, and I'm tired of hearing people say they're tired. And if you're so damn tired, are you tired enough to be brave enough to make a move? And what is the move? My move might not be the best move. Show me a better move. Show me a better move, and I'm with you. But we got to make a move. We got to force the hand. Anyway, let's get some questions in because they're probably saying this dude is.
Absolutely, and thank you. I just want to say I do appreciate your candor. It is so needed.
It hurt, you know. I get hurt from it. There are people that ain't gonna work with Ruben. Don't want to work with Ruben. That's difficult. That's too much. That's too honest. I've walked in rooms for meetings in Hollywood and walk in a room to say good morning, and they say, "Here comes the truth." That means somebody's talking about me. And it might not be that good. But let's be honest with each other. We, you know, it's anyway.
Yeah, totally. So our first question from our viewers is, do you prefer to select a script first and then cast, or do you have actors in mind and then find a play to fit them?
Script. I get a script, then I got a job to do. I get a script, I get a vision, then I start thinking of my family. You know, actors I work with, and then other roles that like this new script I have, I don't have nobody in mind. I don't, you know, these ain't the people I normally work with. So I open it up and let people come and win the job. And they just have to know that I'm hiring a skill level, not a sexual orientation, not a color. I'm hiring a skill level. And a grace, a heart. That's what I'm looking for. So no, I always find a script. A script comes, you know, people send me a lot of scripts. And I look at them, and if I see it speaks to me, then it's like, okay, then I start looking at my family, who I can grab from the family, and then what other holes I got to fill.
Yeah, great. What are the first tasks you do before attending the first production meeting or first rehearsal to prepare as a director?
Well, one of the first things I do is I put the script out, and I take the things that are sacred to me, you know, picture of my mother, picture of my father, my family. I bring out my harmonica, you know, bring out my Bible. I put my Quran over there, Torah, anything that I have that's religious, that means spiritual. And I get my spiritual body together, and then I get my mental state together, and I work out as much as I can to get my physical state together. And then I ask God to use me. Use me the way that you, and I think for some reason I was put on earth to do this. It took me a long time to realize that. You know, I think it was my sophomore year in college. So that's a long time for me. And then I said, this is what I'm supposed to do? And Lofton Mitchell, the great Lofton Mitchell, the writer who wrote Land Beyond the River and Tell Pharaoh, was my advisor in school. And he's the one that told me, this is what you're meant to do. And you need to stop your life for 1 year and dedicate it to theater and watch what happens. That's what do you mean what's going to happen? It's going to take you places you never imagined. So I stopped playing basketball. I stopped chasing women. I stopped, drinking, and just said, I'm going to focus on theater. And he was right. But it took me places I didn't imagine. I started getting scholarships to universities. I was like, wow. Going to the Kennedy Center performing and winning Irene Ryan acting awards and things. I'm like, what's going on here?
Wow. How do you prepare to write your director's concept?
I don't write a director's concept. I've never written a director's concept, so I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm too old school.
Yeah, never heard of that.
I have notes. I have notes and things that I want to, every day I go in, you've been in my room, every day I go in what I do is inspire. The first thing I want to do is inspire. And sometimes it ain't me talking. Sometimes I say, what happened to you on the train today? Did you tell me something odd that happened to you? Or sometimes I say, somebody give me some good news today. Or sometimes I'll have a lesson or a word from James Baldwin, or a word from Elaine Locke, something to say from Mother Maya Angelou, Sonia Sanchez, something to say from my contemporaries, Dr. Indira Edwaru. I may say something from you. It's just like inspire. And then I get them like, then I say, go, and then be like, that's my concept, director's concept.
I love that. I love when you bring out the harmonica. It's my favorite. As the world is recognizing that Blackness also exists in the Latinx community, is recognizing the importance of Black people from all over the diaspora to come and work together and the growing, and it's a really long sentence, come and work together and the growing movement of Afro-Latinx artists telling their unique stories. Do you envision bringing your Latinx roots and brilliance to directing Afro-Latinx projects?
Well, the play that I'm telling you about.
Oh, the one that you can't talk about. Nice.
It's coming. But dig this. I was looking at a documentary the other day about salsa. I think it was made in the early 70s. And the Fania All-Stars were on stage. I would say 2/3 of them were darker than me. They were from Cuba, they were from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. I was like, I couldn't put it down. I was like, damn, look at it. And and it just dawned on me, all the Africa that was there, all that Africa, and the Taino and the Boricua and all that. I was like, wow, that was so beautiful to see. Look at the Fania All-Stars, y'all. Go back and look at that stuff. You'll see. Yeah, I'm very aware of it. I was talking about my father today, because somebody was saying something to me about looking at, say, we were in the debate about Lin-Manuel, who's a friend. And he said, when you look at Manuel, when Lin-Manuel did the Grammys, people said, look at that white guy rapping. I said, no, Lin-Manuel is Latino. I said, and I said, you talking to a man whose father was maybe a little bit darker than Lin-Manuel. You tell him he's white, and you better duck, because he knew who he was. He knew exactly who his people were. My great-grandmother was 114 years old when she died. She would tell you about her grandmother. I can go back into my roots in Puerto Rico so far that people talk about the Spanish ships coming. My Black history, my mother's people from Alabama, I can go back to the plantation they sharecropped on. That's it. That's it that I have been able to go to. And I've been going to this DNA and put this swab in your mouth. And some of it I can believe and some of it I can't. But to be quite honest with you, the Hudsons, I can go back to Alabama, as far as I can go. But Puerto Rico, so yeah, I love that. I love my culture.
Absolutely. Let's see. Have you ever thought of starting your own theater company? So having control to choose whatever play you'd like to direct, and what would that be?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. Then I had to realize I would need about 2 other people to run it with me, because there's so many other things and things that I want to do in this life before I let's face it, at my age right now, I'm on the last bit of my career, whether it's 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, who knows? So I have to, the things I haven't finished yet, I need to finish. So if I stopped and did a theater company, I wouldn't be able to finish them. But I would run a theater company with a couple other people. But the way it would look is like this. I would put a Black play in the center of it. When I say Black, that means from the whole African diaspora. That can come from Cuba. That can come from Ghana. In the center of it, I would put let me rephrase that. The center of it would be a classical American Black play, defined by us, not somebody else talking, because they don't think we have any classics. The white teachers that I learned got my master's from. When I did my thing called the development of the drama, we had to read 35 plays. Only Raisin in the Sun was there, and I said, nah. But anyway, it would be an American Black classic play, whether it's Trouble in Mind or Wine in the Wilderness or Bluesmith's Child, whatever it is. On both sides of that would be two new plays, Black plays from anywhere in the African diaspora. And on the side of that would be international. The two in the middle would actually be, you got your Black one, you give me, I get excited when you mention this, would be your Black classic play. Two American Black plays, new. On the side would be one international Black play, whether it's from Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and on the other side would be a Black theater company in America, or Latino or Asian theater company in America. So you would have an American play from a company, international play of color from a company, two new plays of color, and one classic play. It'd be 5 plays. But the only requisite would be the standard would have to be extraordinary. So I'm not doing no almost theater. The same budgets that these, oh man, we would. And then also there would be book readings, there would be jazz concerts, there would be dance, there would be lectures, there would be everything. It would be a repository of African-American, Latino in culture. That's what I dream of.
I really want that to happen. That sounds amazing and extremely needed. So please don't.
Let's do it then.
Let's do this. I'm game for this. So totally. If you could direct any Shakespeare, what would it be?
I want to do a comedy next. Everybody keeps trying to get me to do a drama next, but I was just invited to do Lear. The producer who invited me said, "Why don't you do Lear? You can play it, you can direct it, you could direct it and play it, you could just direct it." He was trying to get me. It's a really great theater too. And I said, I don't know if I want to, do Lear next. I'd love to do Lear with a mixed cast. Have his daughters, all three. I have a Latina, I have an Asian girl, and I have a Black girl, just as his daughters, he can split it up. But I don't think it'd be Lear. It could be, I don't know.
Well, which comedy would you want to do?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's so many plays I'd have to really, I think a comedy, but who knows if they make me the right offer.
Yeah. This question is from Jackie Ciros. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. As an emerging director who is a minority, I find companies look me over to bring them into their teams to AD or even direct. I know what I have to offer is skilled and great. How do I make others see that when my resume doesn't reflect that?
By directing. Simply by bringing projects and saying, I want to direct this. And you take the steps. Start with a reading. So people want to taste your wares. They want to know that your food is that good. They want to know that your directing is good, your leadership is good. They're taking a gamble. When people hire you as a director, they're taking a gamble. Usually it's because the writer wants you. But when producers hire an unknown director, which they do not do, rarely do, they're taking a gamble. So how can you assure them that it's a good bet? So you got to start showing them something. You know what I mean? So if you go in as a stage manager, say, you know what, we're going to be here on Monday. Maybe I got a play that the actors said that they would read it for me. Would you come? And they start saying, this person got vision. You dig what I'm saying? Show me. This the theater is like Missouri, show me. It's a show me state,
Right. Definitely. This is from Daryl. Oh, Daryl Alejandro Holmes. How can emerging Black playwrights get on your radar for potential collaboration? Hi, Daryl.
That's a good one, because I'm a writer too. So it's hard for me to just, when people walk up to me and leave me scripts at the theater, because next thing you know, they be talking about, I had that in my script, I gave it to Rube. You know, I'm with the Gersh agency. Joyce Kite is my agent, you know, and I know people say, I don't want to go through no agent, but who's going to police this whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Who is going to decipher what the rules were? You just send me a script and I open it, then I'm liable. You dig what I'm saying? I think the best thing to do is to do your work. And if your work is fine, it works its way to the people that you want it to work its way to. And, you know, and you do communicate it. You say, you know, I got a play that you really need to see. You know, I'm going to explain to you what Lloyd Richards told me a writer is. A writer is a person that can go up to an absolute stranger and tap them on the shoulder and say, what are you doing tonight at 8 o'clock? And before the person can answer, I say, I got something to say to you that's the most important thing you're going to hear today. That's a writer.
Mm.
Did you follow what I said? To tell a complete stranger what I have to say is more important than anything you're going to hear today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I end up with writers' work. You know, Dominique Morisseau came to me, I think, 3 times. And I had never read her work. She said, we can work together, brother. You was in Detroit. We can work together. Everybody keeps saying, I need you. I need you. James T. Alfred, every time he saw me, man, we gonna work together. I'm telling you, just let me in the room. Just let me in the room. And I saw his name on the list when I was directing Jimmy. I said, that's the brother keeps saying, let him in the room. Let him in the room. We don't have room for anybody. Let him in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I said, let him in the room, the audition agent said, well, no, he knows August Wilson. He's not coming to the room. I said to the casting director, okay, then he ended not in the room. James found out that the agent said that. He said, no, let me in the room. He came in and tore it up and went on his tour with me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So you pray it into existence, you wish it into existence, and don't be afraid to tap me on the shoulder and say, Rube, I got something for you.
Mm.
I got something for you. Rube listening? Rube, I ain't, I'm not that guy. I'm not the hell no guy. That ain't me.
I just have 2 more questions. I know we're coming up to the end. There are a number of questions about creating your own company studio. Hold on. Nope, that's not it. What are some ways you recommend an actor can transition into directing, being an assistant director, writing, casting?
I heard about you, Kimille, from somebody else that I worked with. I said I need me an assistant and preferably a woman, but preferably Black, who's good. And they give me a short list. I forgot who it was, and you were on that list. And I think I reached out to you.
Yeah, I think it was Awoye.
It was Awoye.
After our Black directors meeting 2 Decembers ago. Yeah. Yeah,
Awoye said, these people, because she knows my personality, and she knows who work with me, and she knows who can look at me and say, he's too much. So she gave me people that she knew, and she said, I think you'll be happy with these 4 are amazing. Awoye is like the ambassador of all this stuff. So, and I interviewed you, and we talked, and I told you how I work, what I expect, and she was right, So the way you do anything is by apprenticing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way how you really learn something great. And people I got no time to apprentice. An apprentice means assisting. Asking, how could you help? I'd love to be in the room. There's an actor out right now who's hot as can be named Jonathan Majors. He has a movie called Last Black Man in San Francisco. He has a series called, it's coming on HBO about the vampires and stuff. And he's done all these films and all this stuff. Jonathan came up from North Carolina School of the Arts, where I think it was Karen Perry or Michelle Shea had worked with him and said, he said, I'm going to New York. She said, you got to find Ruben. So I come into the theater at 10 o'clock in the morning. He's sitting in the lobby. Hey, Mother Michelle Shea said, I got to meet you. I said, what's your name, young man? And we talked for a little while. And I said, well, my room is kind of crowded. I got 3 interns in there, 2 assistants, associate. But one day I'll let you come in. He said, okay. Next day he was there again. I woke him up. He was on the couch. I said, man, what you still doing here, man? I was waiting on you. Today I can come in your room? And I'm like, no, not today. So eventually he was there every day. And I said, come on. I said, stay today, just stay out the way. Just get over in the corner and stay out the way. And don't repeat nothing you need to say to these people. We get to the prayer circle. I said, get on the circle, man. Pull him in the circle. This is Jonathan Majors. He one of ours. He in the family. That fella never left me. I was auditioning for piano lesson, and one day he's in the lobby of the audition place, tells the audition. He slides up to me, said, "Hey, Mr. Santiago-Hudson." I said, "Hey, what's happening?" I said, "You auditioning today?" He said, "No, I'm your reader." I said, "Well, what happened to my reader?" He said, "I don't know. But I told him if Ruben Santiago-Hudson ever need a reader, I'm gonna be the guy." So I ended up finding out my reader got an audition and had to go, and so they gave Jonathan Majors the reader. He was better than the people that was reading. I was like, so I ended up hiring him. Same with Owisa Odera, God rest him. Same with him, he was my reader. Owisa was my reader. Laura Stanzik, the wonderful cast member, Laura, says, we're going to LA, we need a good reader. I know a young man, you're gonna like him, you're gonna get along. He was the reader, he was better than the people reading. I was like, next show you gotta be in with me, all right? He said, okay, and I put him in 5 shows. So it's like, find your way to the sources. I chased August Wilson and Lloyd forever. Anyway, what's the next question?
Yeah, just the last thing we wanted to cover. There are a lot of people who are interested in hearing from you about creating their own, creating your own company or studio or whatnot, like to make work. Like, what advice or input do you have on that?
Right now, the companies that we have are getting ready to get bruised and battled, and some are going to disappear. So it's a hard time to create a company. It's not impossible. If that's your dream and that's your goal, you follow your goal. You always follow your goal. Be smart of who you surround yourself with. Make a real succinct, concerted effort and plan, a straight plan to that goal, and have an option. And if this is not working, that's working, or this is working. But the whole thing is progress, moving forward. So if you're going to do something and everybody's got bologna, don't put bologna in the sandwich. Bring me something different. Mm-hmm. Bring me something that's exciting, new, and be the force behind it to make it happen. You be the force behind it. One gentleman came to me that has a theater company that was part of a theater company and on the board, and he said, "We want you to run this company. Our people are leaving. Our leaders are leaving. Our artistic director and managing director are leaving, and we want you to run it." And I said, "Well, I don't know nothing about your company, anything about your company. I heard you had a good reputation, but that's not my company. So why don't we do this? Why don't you run it? Because it's very important to you. It ain't near as important to me. It's very important to you, more important to you than anybody in the world. You run it." And now that person is running the theater. I just spoke truth to him. If you want to do a company, you got to bring me something that's not there right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And also, right now is a very difficult time. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we're having a town hall meeting. Is it tomorrow at 5 o'clock? Because they're cutting all this money for theaters, $40 million. And if they cut $40 million from theaters, that means a lot of little theaters are going to get whooped. So myself and Andre DeShields and Danny Glover are going to be the artists that speak. But there's a whole host of people that's going to speak. But we're the activists that are going to speak, to try to speak truth to power, to have the city, the mayor's budget, to have him take a look at that budget and not cut these bastions of the community out. Places like New York Theater Workshop, who depend on that funding more than places like National Black Theater and places like New Federal Theater and Boza Rivers Company and the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater and the Asian Theater. It's like taking $100,000 or $50,000 from them is devastating. Taking $50,000 or $100,000 from Roundabout or Lincoln Center, they might keep on going, but it devastates these small, wonderful companies. And so they asked me to speak, and I'm weary. I'm tired of speaking. I spoke to you in New York Theater Workshop. I got a love for both of y'all. I said, but I'm tired right now. So they're gonna wheel my butt out tomorrow to have a conversation with the mayor, because I got to say, when you take that theater out, you just affected that little restaurant next door, the lady who's selling cookies, the guy that's selling coffee, the cleaners, and everybody in that community. You ain't just hitting the actor and the artist. You're not just putting them out of job, out of work, and messing with their livelihood and their income. You're damaging the community. And then if these people we don't have a platform to express what's important to us, how we feel, then we in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, So be very careful and be very succinct and calculated and strategic about if you want to start a theater company. The big question is WHY. Why?
Right.
And to who? And for what?
Right. Absolutely.
And then we might can get somebody's ear. But I wish everybody the best. God bless you. And I want to say this. Black lives do matter. They do matter. And the only reason we have to say it because most people don't realize it, that it's that important. Yeah. And so I stand with everybody in solidarity and physically and mentally and spiritually to combat this racism and bigotry in the country and in the world. And I'm calling all theaters to take a look at your board. And if your board does not look like the Rainbow Coalition, then you need to do some work. That's New York Theater Workshop. That's the Signature. That's Manhattan Theater Club, Roundabout, Lincoln Center, and everybody in New York. And because y'all gave me this platform, I said my piece.
Thank you so much. Where can we see this? Is this town hall available to see virtually tomorrow?
I just saw Andre DeShields posted on Facebook, and I shared it. So it is the city. It is the, I don't know what, because I just saw it right before I got on with you, but I don't think it's going to be hard to find it. I think it's tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Okay. And it's going to be a Zoom town hall meeting, and it's going to be a lot of cultural people speaking.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, everybody who's at home watching, who's interested, you can probably find information about it on Facebook or do a quick search on Google and you'll be able to find some information. But yeah, thank you so much, Ruben. I appreciate having this conversation with you. I'm so grateful to you, and you're such a powerful influencer and a strong impact on me as an artist, and I'm sure to many others, and especially to those watching today.
Thank you.
Ditto. I would like to thank you both for your generosity and your candor, and to say that the questions in the questions coming in, there's also a lot of love for your honesty and your inspiration. So I want to thank you both for being with us today and for that. Before we wrap up in earnest, I just would like to share that there's a full list of upcoming programming on at nytw.org. And we'd love for you to take a minute to fill out a survey about this conversation so we can hear how we're doing. And then to close out, normally and often in this moment, we solicit donations for New York Theater Workshop. Today, we're really encouraging folks to donate if you're able to an organization doing on-the-ground work in communities to fight for Black lives and Black justice. If you can't make a donation, we encourage you to join with us in action through protest, petition, or other means of support. We're posting resources in the chat for folks as a place to start, and encourage you to take a look at them and move onward from there. Thank you so much, Ruben and Kimille and everybody for watching, for being with us today. Take care, and we really look forward to being in community with you again soon.
Stay safe, people. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Ruben. I can't wait to see you in person and give you a hug, a safe hug.
All righty. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.